All right. Hey everyone. It is my 42nd day on testosterone, and today I'm going to share with you the changes I've noticed so far, and I'm going to go through my fourth injection. So, content warning if anyone is scared of seeing injections or needles or syringes, I will be showing that going down soon. So far, I have noticed my voice changing just a little bit. I've noticed it kind of sounds like I'm sick, like I'm starting to get sick. My voice is just getting a little bit deep sometimes, just barely at all. I doubt anyone else has probably noticed it. I certainly can't sing any lower than I have before. I have come out to my first professor. And he is one of the people who's writing one of my recommendations for graduate school. So I actually came out to him originally because I'm writing an essay for a contest, and the content of it is addressing gender-neutral bathrooms. Um, and I wanted him to be my faculty sponsor to prove that I went to the school that I go to, that so I'm eligible to compete in the essay competition. And I told him like, hey, like just through an email, I was like, hey, here's the essay if you want to take a look at it. Um, Also, I'm trans, and he has taken it absolutely in stride. And then in regards to writing my recommendation, um, I suddenly remembered today, like, oh crap, like I didn't tell him what pronouns to use in the recommendation for me. And I shot him an email about that quick, and he was like, yeah, I'd been wondering about that as well. I just didn't know how to broach the subject. Thanks for telling me. Which I requested male pronouns because I believe by the next fall I will be using probably primarily male pronouns. Um, and I also address being transgender in my personal statements and goal statements and cover letters to all of these universities. So they're going to find out one way or another that the gender that I checked um, in the application isn't what I identify as. Two of the applications actually asked for um, my preferred or gender identity. A few asked for preferred name. However, I learned from the professor I was talking to that when the recommendations were sent out, it got sent out under my birth name. And he like had never. I don't think he'd ever seen it before. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't know who that was." And I was like, "Oh, that must be Jax." Um, and so it's interesting that even though like some of these colleges like asked for if you had a preferred name, didn't use that, and none of them asked for preferred pronouns, which is understandable that like we're not quite there yet with our level of non-binary acceptance or even just different pronoun acceptance. Um, that's something I would like to see because it's one of those many little things that build up to just create like a non-inclusive world for trans people. Um, Bottom growth is still there. My partner Squid has mentioned that he's he said, "Well, I've noticed some physical changes," and I was like, "Oh, what?" And he goes, "You down there?" And I was like, "Oh, how so?" And he goes, "Well, it like he hasn't like looked at it a lot, but he said like it feels different in his hand or against his hand." Um, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Is when I was first like showering, I was like, wow, this feels a little different. Like it feels like puffy is the word I keep using. It's just a little bit like puffy." Um, and a word to how our relationship is going. Well, Squid told me he wants to try like eating me out again. I don't know why he said again because he's certainly done it. Um, it's like he said he just wants to try it now because like now that bottom growth has happened, things are a little bit different. Um, which I totally respect. Like it is different now, and so if it's something that he, when literally face to face with, is not comfortable with, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. As bottom growth continues, we'll certainly have to keep revisiting what we're comfortable with intimacy, because that is something I have to respect in a partner is their boundaries, and I'll certainly consider Squid's very very high priority. Other than that, any other changes I haven't noticed? I have no change in appetite, no change in sleep or energy levels. My weight's the same. No weird cravings, no weird body odor. I'm still on such an incredibly small dose. Speaking of the doses, I picked up the correct syringes today because I was supposed to get ones that were 1 milliliter syringes with the Luer lock on them, and I got 3 milliliter syringes because they did not have enough of the 1 milliliter ones to fill a 10-day supply or a 10 quantity. I have trained on 3 milliliter ones. I recognize them as the exact same ones that the nurse went through with me for training. So I was like, I know where to measure them to 0.25 ml on this type of syringe. And then I already have my needles, and in there I just tucked in the testosterone in this nice giant pill bottle. And these 3 things are what makes me a man. And I've got also some little alcohol swabs in here. Oh, I need a Band-Aid. Duh. Let me get one of those. Alright. Got a Band-Aid. Ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Ooh, I just broke it. Alright, there's like nothing left in here. Like, there's nothing to stick into my leg. Like, there's so little in here that the amount just basically just fills to the needle, and there's nothing else coming out of it. There's like some in there, but the syringe is already all the way down, so if I put it in my leg, nothing's gonna go into my leg. I have to talk to my doctor. We're good?
We're good.
We're rolling?
We're rolling.
Alright.
Action.
So I tried to record this yesterday, but I didn't have enough hormone left in the bottle. So now I've got a cameraman, right there, and I'm gonna show you what it's actually like, because I had to go and get a replacement. I had to like message my doctor online and be like, oh my gosh, I ran out. Could you quick like refill and get me another one? So this is what they look like when they're new. Is the little bottle has a little red cap on it, and that comes off of there. And then same thing with this bottle, has my needles in it, and I've also got some alcohol prep pads or alcohol wipes in there. I'm going to take out 2 of those and another one of the needles, put that back, and I've got to get a Band-Aid again. Okay, hold on. Good?
And we're
okay.
back.
Alright, got my Band-Aid. I'm just going to get that ready. And of course it breaks again. Got my syringes now, which are still not the right measurements, but they have the right connector for the needle. And then I'm going to go ahead, this doesn't need to stay sterile, so I'm going to unpackage that. And then I'm going to see a little pile of garbage build up over here. I'm going to unpackage the needle, which has a covering on it, so I can take it out and attach it without having to worry about contaminating it, because the only time it should come in contact with me is when it goes right into my leg. I'm going to sanitize the site on my leg. So I'm going to open up the alcohol prep pad. And the way I was taught to do it is you just find like the center line of your leg and you just kind of pull over, because that's where you're going to inject it, and rub for about 5 to 10 seconds. Make sure all your bacteria is off of your skin, because you don't want that entering any site you're going to make on your leg, and that's going to go into the trash pile. I'm going to get my sharps container ready. I've got the needle that I tried to fill yesterday, but I didn't have enough in there. I didn't even inject it. I just put it right into my sharps. Get that ready. Take the little red cap off, and this just gets thrown away. It doesn't go back on, because you're still sanitizing it every time. So I'm going to take out the other prep pad and rub for 15 seconds. Make sure everything is dead that is touching there, all bacteria. And that goes into this little trash mountain that we're creating. And then, before I uncap this, I'm going to measure out to where I'm going to fill it. So there's half, and I want 0.25. So I'm going to squeeze it to just in between those two, and this is how I was trained on a 3 milliliter syringe. And with that, air in the syringe, I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to put it into the bottle. And I'm going to blow the air in. And making sure that the top of the needle is covered, I'm going to pull back on the syringe. And I can feel like the vacuum force pulling the hormone into the needle. And this is probably the hardest part. It's not actually injecting yourself. It's pretty dang hard to fill up the needle just right. Okay, and there's some air in there, and I'm also a little bit not quite where I should be. So I'm gonna get that air out and fill it to where it should go. That's perfect. Alright, and there can be, I asked about this, oh, and how to recap the needle if you need to set it down. You just leave that on a surface and feed the needle right back in there. But I asked about like super tiny little bubbles forming, and she said it's okay. What you don't want to do is inject a large amount of air into your leg, because it will be very painful and also dangerous, because the air bubble can travel into an artery and kill you at the worst. So I'm going to undo this, and I've got my leg all sanitized, and I asked her, like, how do I hold this? And she said, hold it like you're ready to inject it, because I asked, like, should you hold it like a pencil? But it's so sharp that the pressure of it just goes right in, and I've got my Band-Aid. I had it ready. Did it get in the trash pile? Oh yeah, it's right there. Ready to go, because it will start to bleed. And then I've got the area I remembered I've sanitized, and it's just gonna go right into my leg, and then I'm gonna push, plunger down. And then from here I'm gonna put it right into the sharps container. And put on my Band-Aid. And as you can see, a little bit comes out, because it's just such a large injection site. And I'm just gonna cover that with the Band-Aid. And that's it. And the rest is just having to throw away a ton of garbage.